Hi, welcome to 4 Minutes of Film with me, Rhianna. Loads to fit in this week. We've got The Expendables 3, Hector on the Search for Happiness with an interview from Simon Pegg, The Rover with interviews from Pearce and Robert Pattinson. So let's start with The Expendables 3. The Expendables are back, and this time they've really honed in on what the audience wants, which is loads more action, massive explosions, and lots of close-ups of Jason Statham. Or maybe that's just what I want. Barney is back, played by Sylvester Stallone, and he wants a younger team this time because he doesn't want his old lot putting their lives on the line for him. But what else are they going to do? They've amped up the comedy, they've padded it out with hotties, they drive a train into a prison and blow up a helicopter just because they can. Who cares if Arnie can't deliver a line to save his life?
What are you going to do? Reload.
It's this type of irreverence that makes The Expendables 3 such a guilty, must-see pleasure to watch. And between Kellen Lutz and Antonio Banderas and Statham, who knew The Expendables could be such an erotic watch? 4 stars. Next up, it's The Rover. This is set in Australia after a massive economic collapse, and Pearce plays a reckless man whose car's been stolen by bandits. He manages to track down one of their brothers, played by Robert Pattinson, and together they go on this cross-country killing spree, desperate to find this apparently vastly important car.
You must really love that car, darling. What a thing to get worked up about in this day and age.
Performance-wise, Pearce is haunting and enigmatic. Robert Pattinson is desperately trying to shake off the saga of Twilight. He plays a man with mental health problems, and together they make a really intimidating pair. Lovely in real life, though, and when I spoke to them, because they've both had their fair share of fan attention, I asked them if they compared notes.
You know, I haven't quite experienced what Rob's experienced, so I don't think there was need for comparing really notes.
Well, last time I spoke to you, I think you talked about after Neighbours, you were just like, it was insane, and it kind of really...
Well, it was, but there was like 100 of us in the cast, so it wasn't just me.
It wasn't just...
No, and I wasn't copying it like, you know, the Jasons and Kylies of the show, you know, so...
What are you talking about? That you were like out of the one of the top 4?
One of the top 4?
Yeah.
not
I was like number 3.
I mean, it was like Jason, Kylie, then you.
Yeah, but I still wasn't sort of hassled like they were, you know.
Really?
Yeah. I wasn't blonde enough.
Set in the Australian outback, this film seems to be a dusty expanse of nothingness. I prefer my films with a bit of action or dialogue, but not a complete lack of both. And when it does come, it's too little, too late. So 2 stars for The Rover. Next up is Hector in the Search for Happiness. Simon Pegg is Hector, who leads an unremarkable life as a psychiatrist until he decides to travel the world researching happiness for the sake of his patients and his own sanity.
I need to get away. I need to do some research.
On what?
Happiness. You know, so I can help.
When?
Soon. Very soon. Now.
Yeah, there's no way I can get the time off. I mean, not now. Not at this time of year.
I know.
Everyone knows that I'm Simon Pegg's #1 fan, and he's incredibly likeable as Hector. It's a very sweet movie. They have lovely montages and fantastic cameos, notably from Jean Reno. So when I spoke to Simon Pegg, I asked him if he just went fanboy when Jean was on set.
I'm a huge fan of his, and Leon is one of my favourite movies. And I have my daughter with me, and her name is Matilda, as is Natalie Portman's character. And when I introduced her to him, I lifted her up and said, "Hey, this is my daughter Matilda," not even thinking, and he shook her hand and went, "Matilda," and I kind of just geeked out. Like I just said, I went, "Oh, he said it!" And but he was lovely, and he was only on it for like 2-3 days, and then we went out had a lovely dinner, and he was just a sweet, sweet man.
Perhaps a bit too bland in places. It made me smile, but it never made me laugh out loud. And for a comedy, it gets bogged down in some really dark scenarios. For example, when Hector gets kidnapped, and then it never quite recovers. And I was slightly disappointed by the predictability and the smugness at the end. So 3 stars for Hector in the Search for Happiness. Next week, we'll have an exclusive from Will Porter's latest film, The Maze Runner, and an interview from Daniel Radcliffe. So click here to subscribe.